So basically, our focus today is around virtual agile and how we work together with people, how we work with teams virtually. And this is something I've been doing off and on for the last 2 decades, believe it or not. And so when a lot of my colleagues had said, I'm never going to work virtually and it doesn't work to do agile virtually, found themselves in a position where they had to. So I'm sure that you can relate. And I thought it was great because I liked kind of busting that myth that agile can't be done virtually. And it certainly can be, but we want to be mindful of some things. And so hopefully this presentation will help you with that. Obviously, co-located teams share the same space, and a virtual team, they can be virtual because people are either dispersed geographically, or they could also be in different times. So, for example, you have a team where people work in different shifts during the day. Even if they're in the same location, if they're not there at the same time, it still has the same feeling as if they're on the other side of the world, right? And working in a different time zone. So there can be many reasons why our team is virtual. In my case, a lot of times it has been because working with subject matter experts in different locations, and it's just sort of they're in different parts of the world often. I had one major project that I worked on where I had people that were in Mexico City, one person in Mexico City, somebody in Finland, and somebody in India. So somebody's going to suffer in the meeting time. So we try to disperse that and make sure that nobody suffers greatly at the time that we meet, but it is definitely challenging. We have people in different time zones. So anyway, so those are some of the things that make a team virtual. And so the question then comes to why? Why would we do this? What's the value of virtual teams, particularly in Agile, but in general? Well, we get the best of the best. Basically, it's a necessity in the current time. And even if it wasn't for the pandemic, prior to this, I oftentimes was working at a global company as a contractor there, and you couldn't fly everybody to the same location for meetings. It just didn't make sense money wise. And in order to communicate with people who are working at a global company, it was necessary. I've also taught for some companies, global banks, and I've taught them Agile. And sure enough, they're located, some of them in Texas, some in Europe, some in India. And so with that, we needed to talk about how do you do that virtually? How do you do Agile virtually? And so it's really a requirement for a lot of global businesses. It also saves people time and, in traveling. I know for myself, especially as a trainer and a consultant, I've spent a great deal of time traveling. So it is nice when I can meet with people virtually. I do support and recognize the value of being co-located and meeting people face to face. In fact, earlier this year, I guess it was this summer, I attended a meeting for one of the contracts that's my major contract that I'm on right now. And I got to meet some people face to face. And I do have to say it's been a lot easier to communicate with people when I've met them face to face. So that's been really a good opportunity. And I like taking those opportunities when I can. But it's also great to work virtually because it saves on travel and also supports work-life balance, which is super important for all of us, especially people like myself who work on a contract. I teach at 3 different universities. I teach certification courses. So saving time traveling is huge for me. And I'm sure it's notable for everybody. So virtual Agile teams, how do we manage them? Well, we can use some tools and techniques that you may recognize from traditional project management, having an org chart, showing, roles in the team and where people are at, how they're associated with one another. showing a responsibility assignment matrix, particularly the RACI or RACI, that shows those who are responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. That will help so that people understand their role in the process. We also have position descriptions. So we want to make sure it's very clear what people's roles are, what their duties are. And you may find that as the project goes on, that those things may change. Go back and change those position descriptions. That way, if you have to backfill, you have an appropriate position detailed. Also, when you evaluate the person's performance, you want to make sure that the position description is accurate. Working on doing that right now for one of the contracts that I'm on. You also want to create a team charter, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit more in detail in a moment. And when we acquire our project team, being virtual allows us to acquire people from multiple locations. So if we're looking for somebody's specific skill, for example, one of my contracts right now is a cybersecurity contract. And we have people from California to, I believe it's New York. We did have somebody in Maine who recently left, but we have somebody in Florida, a lot of people in DC because it's a federal contract, but much of the team who's doing the work is across the whole US. And we do have the people in California, start their day probably a little bit earlier than they would like to, but they get to finish their day a little bit earlier too. But we're able to do that to spread a wider net when filling that position, which actually really helps, especially for a position like in cybersecurity where there's such a high demand, particularly in the DC area. So being able to staff people from around the US made it much better. One of the team leads is in Kentucky, and I was talking to him recently, and he's like, I have no desire or inclination to move to DC. I love where I live, but it's great that I can work on this project. So those are some examples of how acquiring our project team can be facilitated by having a virtual team. So once we acquire that team, we want to develop our team. We want to have orientation and training. A lot of times people are camera shy, so to speak, but I do like to have my team members be on camera every now and then, especially when there's a new person, a new face, so we can see each other. For the most part, probably most of my meetings were not on camera, which is fine with me. I kind of ask my team members what they like to do. Other projects that I'm on, I actually do have a lot of people that I do face-to-face meetings with, and so it just kind of depends on the people I'm working with. I try to be pretty flexible with that. Some people prefer video meetings where they see each other, and some people don't. I will say
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN to earn, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.